Hey, it's Tech. Welcome to Off the Cuff. Today, I want to talk about the smell of new. You open up a box with a brand new computer or a laptop or phone or iPad or television or humidifier or heater or lamp or whatever it is. You open it up and it's brand new and it smells brand new. And those smells bring back sense memories of other new things that you've gotten. Maybe we're talking about a new car. You get into a new car and it has that new car smell. Or you walk into a freshly painted room, even one that's been aired out for a little while, and you've got that little whiff of fresh paint or fresh cut lumber in your nose, and it just reminds you of the awesomeness of things being new. Unless you're an astronaut, because if you're an astronaut on the International Space Station, that smell can kill you. Or if you're in a submarine, for that matter, any closed environment. Today I want to talk about outgassing. Outgassing is what every technology or everything that's manufactured does in the first few months or weeks, depending on what the technology is and what it's been exposed to. It can take quite a while for the outgassing to finish, or it can be very short for the outgassing to finish. Basically, things like solvents and glues and lubricants and the materials themselves can give off gas over time. You've probably noticed that, like if you've used contact cement or plastic cement or something like that, it's got a smell to it, and that smell kind of lingers for a little while. But it doesn't just go away once the glue is dry. I mean, it's mostly gone, but there's still a small percentage that's going to continue to evaporate from the glue over time. Again, those lubricants, you have oils, and small amounts of that oil are going to come off into the atmosphere around it until it reaches a nice equilibrium state, or until it's just there's very little of it coming off in any given period of time. Even things like plastics can kind of absorb whatever they were treated with and release some of that. Even non-porous things that we normally wouldn't think of as being absorbent, can outgas. Things like metal and glass. They don't. Yeah, they do. They can trap small molecules from how they were during the manufacture process, or how they were cleaned or coated, and release them later on. Now, normally, it's not something to worry about. It really isn't, unless you're in an enclosed environment. In your homes, you have enough air circulation. You're not in a fully contained environment. So those smells dissipate, they go out the door, they just dissipate into the atmosphere. You never get a concentration that becomes deadly. So in your car, you have that new car smell. It's made me nauseous in the past sometimes, sitting in a new car. But again, it's usually not really harmful, especially once you get out, clear the air, breathe again, you're fine. If you're on the International Space Station or in a submarine where all of your air, though, is closed and recirculated, it can kind of cause a problem, because those elements, whatever those gases are that are evaporating and coming off of your device, are just going to sit there and kind of be accumulated into the atmosphere if they're not caught by the filters or scrubbed out. And they're gases, and it's really hard to catch a gas with a filter. So they just kind of stick around. How do we figure this out? How do we plan for something like this? How do we make sure that the astronauts orbiting in the International Space Station aren't dying because of outgassing? Well, it's actually pretty cool. We take the devices, we take whatever it is that we're planning on sending to the ISS or putting in submarines, we put them in vacuum chambers, and we suck out all the air and let it outgas. Then we take that outgas and we collect it and we pass it through a mass spectrometer to basically figure out, okay, what is in there? How much of it is in there? And is this going to be harmful in large quantities? Is it going to poison people? Is it going to impair their cognitive function? Is it flammable? Is it something that we have to worry about catching fire in large enough concentrations? All of that goes into creating and planning for what's actually going to go up in space or down in the bottom of the ocean. And it's an important step. In fact, a couple of off the cuffs ago, I talked about how the Lenovo ThinkPad was the only laptop qualified to go into space. Part of that was because of the cosmic rays and how it's largely fault tolerant compared to other laptops. But there are other fault tolerant laptops too. It's just that the ThinkPad outgasses are less harmful, or they meet the minimum NASA specifications for what can go to the International Space Station. Okay, I'm just going to quickly cut me off because I've actually gone back and watched the footage at this point, and I forgot to talk about something I really wanted to. It's not just humans that outgassing can affect. In 1999, NASA launched a probe called Stardust, whose mission was to go and collect interstellar dust samples and samples from the coma of a comet, which it did and sent them back to Earth. But one of its cameras actually wasn't able to be used, or at least at full resolution, because a component in the vacuum of space outgassed. And if you're familiar with the concept of vacuum deposition, if you release a gas into a vacuum, it deposits itself onto surfaces. And that's actually what happened with the sensor. So it actually got fogged, they couldn't use it, and they lost image from it. Same thing happened with the Cassini spacecraft. Fortunately, NASA was able to recover that camera by heating it up to once again vaporize the deposited material and let it dissipate into the vacuum away from the sensor, and while they heated the sensor. So overall, outgassing poses a big problem in space, and again, it's another one of those things that we don't think about much here on Earth, but really will become an issue for interstellar travel. So until next time, I'm Tech Adams saying keep thinking, and thanks for watching.